here? Yeah, I'm right back at you like I never left, and I'm gonna go this hard to my last breath. It's Lil Kenny Russell Canoom, Consul Moon. You already know what you're gonna get when you step in this room. You're now dealing with Canoom. Yeah, I'm here. Well, I'm here to make the information direct and clear because a lot of y'all can't hear. Yeah. Now, welcome back to Make My Ancestors Great Again. This is another episode of My Thoughts. This is My Thoughts 240, and as the title states, are tithes still required? Okay. A lot of people use this tithes thing as a number one rule and a number one principle regarding everything in regards in terms of faith, belief. If you trust your money with God, this would happen, this would happen. So they manipulating funds, and that's all the church has came to today. You see this all across the board with the women evangelical preachers. I'm sorry, evangelists, of course. You see this with the men evangelists. You see this with the anywhere you go, you have to pay that tithe. I'm going to try to seek out and see if I can prove one way or another that tithes are still required. Okay, let's look at the ancestors and we'll get straight to it.
One thing you have to get through your mind and keep it. Nothing that ever came from the European mind was meant to do anything but facilitate European domination of the world. And I said there's no exception.
All right, that's the ancestors. Let me get this off the screen. All right, so what I'm saying is that the tithe is the main focus and the main base principle of today's people. It started out as that in the Mosaic law and the Levitical law, which is the Old Testament. But anybody who believes in Jesus the Christ today, the life, the death, and the bloody sacrifice of this man named Jesus the Christ who died and rose again, that's the new covenant. So everything from the old times is no longer required. They teach you today, all you have to do is believe that Jesus died and rose again and everything is all right. So you don't have to pay tithes in today's time. Let's discover how many people weigh on paying the tithes other than the people who say, hey, don't pay tithes. So we're going to try to discover what's the consensus around the world about people thinking that tithe is still an obligation. Let's look at this man. This is Dave Ramsey. I don't own the video. This is a fair use act. It's just a short. He did touch on the things that I'm going to prove to show you that it's not required, but he ran through it and he used it to his benefit, which was wrong. Okay, so let's look at this video. Like, share, subscribe, comment, and I thank you for watching. And this is a fair use act. I'm going to give my thoughts, my opinions, criticism, and scrutiny. And I believe this is a teaching moment. So let's look at this video.
Forgiving? Well, the Bible says to give a tenth.
He starts right off. Instructions for giving. Okay, the Bible says you should give a tenth. He's going to even give you a verse that gives those instructions. Let's look at it.
Deuteronomy 28 says that. Give a
Deuteronomy 28 says that. That's Old Testament law. This man doesn't look like a Hebrew or Jew. He's not sitting here saying that he's a Hebrew or Jew. That's for Hebrews or Jewish people. That's Hebraic law and Levitical law. That's past tense now. Because if he's going to preach this, he's ignoring the fact that this dead white man on the cross named Jesus the Christ died a bloody, savage death for the price of everybody's sins and the belief that they believe this is actual. Okay, so that price has been paid. This is false. Let's continue.
tenth, a tithe of your increase. The word tithe, when you look it up in the Hebrew, means tenth. I had one pastor tell me, he says, well, I tell my people it's okay to tithe 5% when they're getting started. And I said, well, that's okay, but don't tell them to tithe 5% because that's mathematically impossible. You can't tenth the 20th.
And it's always a thing that they do to humor it, make it very humorous when it comes to them taking control or showing you in what regard that you should use your finances. They always humor it up, make some old humorous type of punchline so that you can feel free and be a cheerful giver. See, this always happened right before giving time. Some people are serious about it, but right before giving, see how humorous the person's going to be that's going to raise the offering, because he wants you to do like that biblical scripture. The Lord likes a cheerful giver. I believe that's Second Corinthians. Okay. But that's all it says. If you're going to give, you can give if you want to, but you shouldn't be compelled or give under any compulsion. That's what this is. He's teaching that you must abide by the obligations of Deuteronomy, which is false. You hear me? That's false, African people. But this man is trying to further the continuation of the church house. See, the financially heavy churches all across the world, they have a lot of money that they put in, so they're trying to get a lot of money out. Let's continue.
Just tell them to give an offering until they can get up to that point. I'm all about the grace on this stuff. I'm not a big rule keeper anymore. I like the rules because I kind of know what I'm supposed to be doing, but I'm not freaked out about the rules either.
Don't tell them to give 5% because there's no such thing. Just tell them to give an offering till they can get their weight up, get their money up to the point that they can give a tenth without missing it. You hear me? Then he goes on and say, I'm not too much on I don't really care about the laws and all that stuff. I don't care about all the rules. I'm sorry, he said rules. I'm not a big rule keeper. I beg your pardon? But you're giving them the rules and instructions of giving. If he's not a good rule keeper, he don't care about the rules. What is this about? You hear me? This is this is nonsensical garbage. And this teaching that he's doing right here before your eyes should be discarded and taken to the nearest garbage can. You hear me? Let's continue.
So I'm not going to try to tenth the 20th. It's a tenth. It's a tenth. That's 10%. Well, is it on the gross or on the net? You ever heard that one? This is hilarious. 2.7% of evangelical Christians tithe. Less than
He know the percentages. Less than he said 2.7% of Christians tithe, evangelical Christians. So he's not a Hebrew or a Jew, yet and still he's preaching and teaching old school Hebraic Mosaic law teachings to his congregation for money. No other reason. He hasn't said any other reason that you should follow Deuteronomy, which is Hebraic and Levitical law, Mosaic law. He didn't say nothing else why you should still be under that old law, just for finances and money. You hear me? So they're very clever. At least they think they are. Less than 3% of evangelical Christians, so he's a Christian, tithe. He should be happy with that because it's not a requirement. But he believes that it is. Okay. So this is a man right here that believes tithing is still utilized and obligated according to Deuteronomy. But if he believes in Jesus, then he should know that that old law and that Old Testament has been discarded because Jesus paid his life, whatever the price was. He paid his life for that. Okay. You hear me? This is 101. He knows this, but he's trying to manipulate your pocketbook. You hear me? Let's continue.
3% of evangelical Christians tithe, and people ask me, gross or net? Who cares? None of you are doing it.
Again, look at these gullible people on the screen. His brother smiles so big, he looking like the Kool-Aid man, sitting there with all the rest of the people who's getting fooled and duped out of a 10% of their money. I say give 0% to God. 0. You hear me? Whatever God you believe in, give 0% of your money to God because God can't receive any. You hear me? God, the term God in everybody's mind should be a supernatural understanding. A supernatural understanding and or a spiritual world type of thing, unseen. You cannot give them something in a physical world that they can accept. You can't. Currency is one of them. You hear me? So Give 0% to God. I'm not saying that in no hating type of way. Go to Matthew 23 and 23. He said that in the same thing, because if you go watch this gentleman, Dave Ramsey, go watch the whole thing. He preaches over Matthew 23 and 23. What Matthew 23 is stating is, you guys give cumin and anise, all these type of trees, you give that, but you neglect all the rest of the laws. See, so what 23 is saying, this is Jesus talking in Matthew. You think tithing is going to impress me, but you don't even live a righteous life. So you rather tithe. This is like a rich man thing. Or they thinking they in the old school still, Mosaic and Hebraic law. They're going to give and ignore everything else. They don't have to be righteous because they're giving their 10th. This is why it should be stopped. So go read Matthew 23 and see for yourself. That's my thoughts on the videos. Lil Kenny Russell, Canoom, Consul Moon. You already know what you're going to give when you step in this room. You're now done with Canoom. This is what I do. And I love to do it. And before I take back what I said, I add some more to it. Excuse me. This is not to take God from anybody. This is to restore spirituality, which you have housed now in a prison under the name of religion. This is to restore your spirituality, which you took it and put it in jail. Anytime you give all your spirituality to a religion or a dead white man on the cross or any God, Allah, Buddha, Messiah, Mashiach, all this nonsense, you have imprisoned and put your spirituality in jail. Like, share, subscribe, comment. I thank you for watching. If you feel like you want to do something for me, like and subscribe because it won't cost you a fee. Education and preparation is the first step to retaliation. So before you pick up a weapon or a silly religion, pick up some knowledge. If anybody's offended by anything you heard, I mean every word. Yeah. Tithes are not required, y'all. Look it up and read it for yourselves.